Sirens wailed through the crisp night air, a wild, unruly chorus that tore straight through the heart of Birmingham, Alabama, painting every shadow with a kind of dread you could feel in your bones. Blue and red lights bounced off brick and window, flashing across Lieutenant Colonel Angela Moore's face as her world unraveled. And let me tell you, if you ever think you know how much pain one moment can pack into your chest, you don't. Not until you're kneeling on cold pavement, clutching a photo of your daughter, its edges curled and faded from years of hope. There's Elise smiling, open, all that life and possibility in her eyes, and now all that's left is her backpack spilled on the ground, books and pens scattered in the road, her dreams interrupted by the brutality of a routine traffic stop gone, so wrong you wonder if the word routine ever meant anything at all. Folks say the city was quiet that night, but really, it was just stunned. Angela dropped to her knees where the blood still marked the concrete. The crowd around her drawn tight in a hush so heavy you could taste it, like they knew they weren't just witnessing a family's grief, but a chapter in a long, ugly story that kept repeating itself in towns just like this. Some kid had live-streamed the whole thing, her daughter's final moments blurring through a shaky phone, police lights flashing, voices screaming for help that never really came. And when that officer came over, told her, "Ma'am, for your safety, you need to step back," Angela looked up with a stare that had stopped a man cold. "For my safety," she said, voice trembling but sharp as a blade. "My daughter was unarmed. Where's her safety?" And you know what? No one answered, because in that moment, the system had already moved on. But Angela didn't move on. She stood, phone gripped in her fist like a weapon, the viral video burning up the internet, painting the cops in all the colors they'd spent decades trying to cover with empty words and polished shoes. This wasn't just about Elise. This was about every black kid whose mother taught them how to survive a world that didn't really want them to survive. Angela's eyes swept the faces, her jury, her witnesses, her army. "Remember this," she said, voice rising. "Record this. My daughter's voice will not be silenced." Today, they ended a life. Tonight, they started a movement. And with that, the people who'd come for gossip or spectacle turned into believers. Something was changing. Right there, you could feel it. The drive home was something out of a bad dream. Angela, who'd stared down insurgents overseas, now stumbling through the silent hallways of her own house, memories crashing in, birthday candles, college acceptance letters, late-night talks about changing the world. The trophies on Elise's shelf, dusted by moonlight, mocked the idea that a life well lived could protect you from hatred. Angela's hands shook as she started writing letters to the media, to politicians, to anyone who might help. The fight wasn't overseas anymore. It was right here, and she wasn't backing down. Her husband Jerry found her at the kitchen table, red-eyed but burning with resolve. "We're taking this battle to them," she told him, voice like gravel. "Damn right," he said. And in that silence between a mother's grief, a father's broken heart, you saw the birth of something bigger than both of them. A refusal to let their daughter's name become another hashtag, another headline soon forgotten. Angela called Ruth, a local activist and Elise's high school teacher, weaving together a plan that ran on adrenaline and sleepless anger. They mapped out everything: rallies, press conferences, community meetings. For the first time, Angela felt something other than pain, the old familiar focus of a soldier on a mission. That night, Jerry put his arm around her as she let out a single, raw sob. "They'll remember Elise's name," Angela whispered. "She'll be the story that changes everything." You could almost hear the city holding its breath, waiting for her next move. The next morning, she marched straight into the office of Martin Reeves, a civil rights attorney with the look of a man who'd lost too many cases but never the will to fight. His office walls were plastered with newspaper clippings, photographs from protests stretching back decades. "Angela," he said, "stand and greet her. I knew your daughter. She was smart. She deserved better." Angela nodded, tears pricking her eyes, but she set her jaw. "I want justice, Martin. Not just for her, for all of us." They talked strategy, evidence, witnesses, the statistics nobody wanted to see. Angela had connections, disgruntled cops ready to talk, kids who'd seen too much. Martin's eyes sparkled with the kind of hope you only get from surviving 100 battles and still believing the next one matters. The days blurred into a rhythm of protest and paperwork. Angela stood on makeshift stages, her voice carrying over crowds, over news cameras, over the tired apologies of police chiefs and city council members. "We will not be quiet," she said, the crowd echoing her words, their voices knitting together into a chant that rolled down city blocks and shook the foundations of the courthouse. Jerry was always there, holding her hand, giving her that quiet strength you only find in men who've learned to endure more than they ever thought possible. There was a twist nobody saw coming. Officer Jensen, a quiet man with a haunted look, reached out to Martin. He'd seen enough, he said. He couldn't be silent. His testimony broke the dam. Records of biased policing, secret orders to patrol certain neighborhoods, evidence that Elise hadn't just been unluckish been targeted. In court, Jensen's words landed like blows. You could hear people sobbing, others cursing under their breath. Even the judge looked shaken. Angela squeezed Martin's hand as the truth, finally, was spoken in public. It wasn't over. Nothing like this ever is. There were threats, counterattacks, desperate attempts by city leaders to stall or water down reforms. Angela got calls at all hours, some from allies, some from people warning her to back off. "They're scared," Martin told her one night, because for the first time, they're not in control of the story. Angela smiled, tired but fierce. Let them be scared. It's about time. The day of the big rally was something to see. Thousands packed Kelly's Park, banners waving, candles flickering as dusk turned to night. Angela stood before them, looking out at a sea of faces, old friends, strangers, mothers clutching their kids a little tighter. "We're here because we refuse to be afraid," she said, her words thick with all she'd lost and all she still hoped to win. "We're here because justice isn't something you wait for, it's something you demand, together, again and again, until it can't be ignored." The crowd erupted, the noise rolling across the park, into City Hall, right up to the mayor's office. The city started to bend just a little. The mayor announced an independent investigation, reforms to police training, real oversight. Not everything Angela wanted, but more than anyone thought possible just weeks before. Jerry hugged her, pride and sorrow mingling in his eyes. "Elise would be proud," he whispered. Angela just nodded, because there are some things too big for words. And you know what? It wasn't a Hollywood ending. There were setbacks, betrayals, new battles every day. But something fundamental had shifted. Angela found herself on TV, in the halls of power, in late-night strategy sessions with people who'd once ignored her calls. Senator Langley came knocking, offering state-level support. Angela told him, "I'll take your help, but only if you fight as hard as I don't know half measures. No empty promises." He promised, and she believed him cautiously. In the end, what Angela learned is that justice isn't a moment. It's a movement, messy, slow, full of heartbreak and hope tangled together. Elise's name was spoken in every corner of Birmingham, carried by those who refused to let her story fade. Angela and Jerry stood hand in hand at another candlelight vigil, their faces lit by the soft glow of memory and resolve. "This is just the beginning," Angela said, voice barely above a whisper, but strong enough to carry. "And that's where I'll leave you, with a question that hangs heavy as midnight. What would you do if justice demanded more than you thought you could give? Would you stand? Would you fight? Would you keep saying the names that matter until the world finally hears?" Go ahead, drop your thoughts below. Let's see how far this conversation can go, because, yeah, change is coming. But only if we're all in it together.